Welcome everyone. I have a very important announcement, and I don't know how to say this, so here I go. I've been having some doubts about the children of Adam lately, and I decided I'm leaving because I was introduced to the one true religion in the post-apocalypse. Please take a seat and keep your mind open, because I'm sure you will also see the light. Let me introduce the wonderful world of Hubology. What is Hubology and what makes it so great? I'm glad you asked, and I found this holodisc to be extremely helpful when learning about this great new truth. It all starts with one man, a great man known as Dick Hubble, who lived before the Great War. Before Adam scorched the earth, force of habit. Before nuclear hellfire ended civilization, Hubble worked to perfect his craft of book writing and authorship, and these experiences gave him a unique and important perspective into the great failings of his age. Medicine was not trying to heal people, but keep them sick. Government wasn't trying to make people's lives better, it was only interested in controlling them. And religion no longer brought people peace. It was these realizations, as well as personal experiences with otherworldly beings and their technology, that the truth was revealed to Hubble by the great Star Father. Inspired by the profound words of an ancient music band known as Journey in their song Wheel in the Sky, Hubble revealed the inner workings of the universe and our place in it. To best understand the incredible inner workings of the universe, it is best to envision it as a wheel. Think of a wheel in the sky, the great wheel of life, burning with glory. At the center of the wheel is the hub, as in the great Dick Hubble. See, there are no coincidences in Hubology, only convenient truths. And us faithful Hubologists that heed his call are the spokes that come off the hub. The outer edge of the wheel that is only connected to the hub through the spokes is the rest of the world, those who don't understand the truth of the great Starfather. As the wheel turns, many are figuratively crushed as their ignorance keeps them from becoming one of the spokes, and they are referred to by many as rim meat, but try not to call them that to their face. Just as the spokes spin around the hub of a wheel of a Corvega, so do we revolve around Hub and his teachings. We connect the outer rim of the wheel to the truth. Only through our work can some from the rim join the spokes and come closer to the hub. Although there are many hubs, there is one great hub that has the most correct teaching, and that is the one with our founder at the center. In times past, other lesser hubs have formed around other people who have been touched by the great Starfather's inspiration, but none have been as inspired as Hubble. Amongst the great truths revealed to us, we learn that the world tries to suppress, namely that there is other life among the stars, that our Earth is one of many planets with living beings, and there are many places even better than our lowly rock. Through our unique scientific approach that melds the supernatural with the natural, we are able to realign any spoke or part of the wheel that will fall out of alignment, and any disharmony and asymmetry that you may feel in your life. This scientific spirituality fixes the body, the mind, and the spirit, just as Hubble set out to do so long ago. Would you like to improve your life? Right the wrongs that you've experienced and purify yourself through scientifically aided self-reflection? Of course you do. I mean, just look at you. You are seriously messed up, and I mean that in the best possible way. I can see you're not quite convinced yet, so I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Something that you won't just see written on a pamphlet or found on a random holotape, because when I look at you, I see promise. One of the great secrets that has been repressed by the world and the media since the days of the great Hubble is that our problems, our negative emotions, our illnesses of the body and mind are the result of something called neurodynes being all out of whack. These neurodynes get polluted, and that suppresses our body's zeta levels until our bodies just can't handle it, and this pollution manifests itself as so-called depression, cancer, radiation poisoning, or the blue flu, among many, many others. Cleansing these neurodynes through our convenient and reasonably priced alignment procedures can eventually, with enough applications, even expand the mind beyond its current limitations. These are limits that everyone accepts as normal, but we know them not to be. I can tell that you are interested in our incredibly high-tech alignment process and can promise that you won't regret it. Before the Great War, or the Great Deluge as we like to call it, there were many, many followers of Hubble, and a good number of them survived the bombs and continued to prosper and grow in the years since. Although I am sure there are many other groups, I am only familiar with one large group of Hubologists in San Francisco, a mission in Shady Sands, and a smaller group just outside of the Commonwealth out east near Nuka World. If you don't believe what I have been telling you, then I'm sure our two superstar actors and spokespeople in San Francisco, Juan Cruz and Vicky Goldman, could convince you. Juan Cruz is a very handsome guy, and his wife Vicky is a beautiful blonde woman who starred in the adult films Top Bun, Risky Business, and Days of Rubber, so you can be confident that they would never lie to you. If you happen to spend some time working in the New Reno adult entertainment profession, Vicky will even recognize you as a fellow movie star, which must be super flattering. Just a word of warning, be careful talking too much to Juan and Vicky about Hubology. The church really revs their engines, if you catch my meaning, and then things just get awkward. So now that you are fully convinced to join our enlightened ranks, you can take your very first step by being aligned and getting a Zeta scan. It is quick, it is relatively harmless, and after your Neurodyne alignment, you will officially be a member of the first rank, called AHS1. You can get a scan in 3 places. You can get one at the church in Shady Sands by a missionary known as the Enlightened One. And this scan has a chance of changing your luck stat by +2, +1, or even -1. If you instead get your scan at the San Francisco location by accompanying one of the leaders known as AH7 in the prayer room, then there's a chance your intelligence will increase by 1, your luck will increase by 1, or your luck might decrease by 1 too. I'm sure though, if you prepare properly, there is no need to fear any stat losses. If you're on the East Coast though, the Hubologist camp near Nuka World can offer a Zeta scan, which is usually 50 caps. But if you sweet talk Phil Roller, who administers the alignments, he might let you do it for free. You'll get a little tickle of radiation as the Zeta waves cleanse those neurodynes in the central nervous system. You will get a temporary boost to intelligence of 1, and they will officially recognize this momentous occasion by giving you your own Hubologist outfit. Ah, there we go. See, it wasn't so bad after all, was it? The best part now is that you are officially AHS1 and one of the enlightened. You are pure enough to learn even more about the great truths that the honorific Hub has bestowed upon us. First, let's just make sure you understand your rank and what it means. The ranks of Hubology go from AHS1, which is the lowest level, up to AHS9, which is the highest level that we know of. And there can only be one AHS9 at a time. AHS stands for Aligned Hub Seeker, as we are all now aligned and avid seekers of the Hub. Now that you're officially a member though, I want to make you aware of something that might seem confusing at first. In the many years after the Great War, there have been small differences in how some of the groups have interpreted the teachings of the Great Hub. Since he ascended to the Starfather many years ago before the Great Deluge, there have been some small divergences in doctrine. Although we all agree on the beneficial effects of the alignments and Zeta scans, the West Coast teaches that neurodynes are cleansed by Zeta waves, while the East Coast, at least the group led by Dara Hubble near Nuka World, believe that the neurodynes themselves are killed or driven off by the Zeta waves, and that it's the accumulation of neurodynes that causes our ills. According to one member, they infest the spine, the liver, and the colon, of all places. The important part is that whether the neurodynes themselves are only being cleaned or actually killed or driven off, the Zeta scan is cleansing our bodies, clearing our minds, and bringing us closer to the Hub. According to the West Coast, the alignments are meant to help us align ourselves to the level of the universal wheel, although it is important to remember that too much alignment too quickly can be harmful to the spirit. Everyone is welcome and encouraged to be aligned, even if they do not intend to join our ranks, and the positive effects of the scans can be astonishing. The West Coast teaches that the neurodynes are called the stations of the spirit, and that ancient religions knew about them and referred to them as chakras. They are also explained by a missionary at the NCR, known as the Enlightened One, as being the psychic centers of the body. And when these centers get polluted by negative energies, an alignment will purify them. The alignment has two primary methods and is done through a Zeta scan, which on the West Coast uses a specially designed machine to run a specially formulated current of electricity through your skin, cleansing the neurodynes. On the East Coast, users are put into a chair where they are irradiated with Zeta rays, killing and driving the neurodynes from the body. Either way, those that are able to align their neurodynes adequately through several procedures can become something greater than they ever were before. Take one on the East Coast who has undergone 6 alignments, attained the rank of AHS6, and has reached such a place of tranquility and peace that he no longer wishes to be called by his name, preferring to just be called cleansed. With his newfound inner peace and expansion of his mind, he is dedicated to trying to bring the Raiders of Nuka World into the fold through missionary work, asking everyone if they are truly happy. Anyone that says no, he brings to the rest of the Hubologists back at the camp. Another that we have mentioned, the Enlightened One, is an AHS4 who is given the job of doing missionary work in the NCR during the events of Fallout 2. There is a church, but the people of the NCR, they harden their hearts and do not listen to her words. She is said to be a striking figure, wearing a robe like the rest do on the West Coast. She has a fixed stare and expression of mindless bliss because of the peace brought about by her alignments. She will ask the Chosen One when they first meet if they themselves are enlightened. And if the Chosen One lies and says yes, she will trust their word and the player gains a little bit of experience. Should the Chosen One have low intelligence, she will recommend an alignment in the hopes of freeing us from our primitive state. But that is all I can tell you at your current level. In order to know more, you have to progress to AHS2, and the only place that can happen is on the East Coast with Dara Hubble and her group. A short conversation later and 100 caps, or some really good sweet talking with Phil, and the scan can commence, bestowing a temporary +2 to intelligence and dosing a measly 90 rads. I'm sure you can already feel your mind becoming less clouded and your senses sharpening as you let the Zeta rays do their work. Dara has given me permission to reward your faithfulness and diligence with more of the truth, great revelations about the Great Wheel and the Starfather. Everything is part of the Great Wheel, which refers to the cyclical nature of the universe, space, time, and everything in it. The Great Wheel is greater than any of us, and through the years there have been many who have felt the wheel and the way that it turns and travels, and mankind has referred to them as visionaries, prophets, and even gods who have all to a certain extent grasped the workings of the Great Wheel. But none has been as great or knowledgeable as the Great Hub himself. The Starfather, or God as many call him, is more of a universal force from which we draw energy, and that we give energy back to in a cycle like a great wheel. We are all descendants of the Starfather, and that is why we refer to him as such. The Starfather has revealed his plans for his followers and has given us commands so that we may reach our full potential. But more than that, I cannot say at this time. But for a one-time offer of 250 caps, you can get another alignment and advance to the rank of AHS3. It will only give you 140 rads, and it'll boost your intelligence by 3 for some time, so you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed your alignment. I can assure you that the Great Starfather is smiling down upon us now. While we have been discussing great eternal truths of the universe and our place in it, there is an opposition to the truth, and we have waited until you are at this rank because it can cause some discontent and neurodyne misalignment if you're not prepared. But I think you're ready. From the very beginning, there has been opposition to Hubology, and those that actively try to harm us and attack our doctrine are known as oppressives. Oppressives are full of negative neurodyne energy, so much so that they drag down all of those around them, including fellow adjusted hub seekers. Therefore, it is of utmost importance to disregard everything they say. Don't give any space to their words or pay them any mind. Whether they know it or not, they oppose the Starfather's plan and actively try to shake the course of the Great Wheel. In the days before the Great War, oppressives pounced on the Great Hub and his fledgling community almost immediately after Hubble published a number of books and journals establishing Hubology. Although there have been countless sightings of extraterrestrial vehicles, oppressives have worked tirelessly to suppress the truth and called Hubology's beliefs and Zeta scans awful things like pseudoscience, and proclaimed that Hubology was dangerous and used to hurt people, whatever that means. Of course, nothing could be further from the truth, but many who said this were powerful people. They were government officials and corporate leaders, and through these ugly rumors, they tried to destroy the truth. In the early days when Hubology was still so young, they nearly succeeded, and the Great Hub and his followers were forced to go underground. The Great Wheel turns in mysterious ways though, and Hubologists were able to fight back from the shadows. Through infiltration of the many organizations that tried to oppress us, we were able to expose them for the liars that they were and proclaim the great truth through television shows, a technology that is now largely lost to time. The oppressives would push back, of course, and so many years passed where we fought against them in the public sphere on the battleground of the soul. It was at this time that the Great Hub left our Earth and ascended to the Starfather, having left us with everything we needed to know to carry out the Great Starfather's plan. Our survival of the Great Deluge is proof of the authenticity of our claims, and we are actively working to spread the word of the Great Hub and make preparations for a great event. Even so, we must deal with many oppressives who seek to stop our work. One of the more powerful oppressives is at Shady Sands, or what is called the NCR in Fallout 2, a crime boss known as Merc. Merc has a particular hatred for Hubology, and especially the missionary at the NCR church known as the Enlightened One. Since he can't bear the truth, he insists that she must die, and will order the Chosen One to do it. The Shi, a group descended from Chinese submariners located in San Francisco, are also oppressives, since they say awful things about the Hubologists nearby and will even completely shun anyone, including the Chosen One, that are associated with Hubology. In what is perhaps the most oppressive of all acts, the advisor to the Shi Emperor, who is known as Ken Lee, will ask the Chosen One to kill the East Coast Hubology leader known as AHS-9. The Shi hate the Hubologists because we speak the truth, and they are envious of the technological marvels that the Hubologists have been able to accomplish. They also spread vicious rumors about the Hubologists abducting Shi children to brainwash them into the so-called cult. But it's a good thing that the Hubologists are above such things. On the East Coast, oppressives are instead called suppressors, since they suppress our talents and abilities through neurodyne pollution. I am sure by now you are getting a hankering for another Zeta scan, and the great news is that you have shown such enthusiasm for the faith that you are approved to advance to AHS-4. Only 500 caps? It'll give you +4 to your intelligence for some time, and 200 rads, but rads have never concerned me. You are now the same level as the Enlightened One at the church in the NCR, and committed enough to the Great Wheel that you can be endowed with one of the great truths revealed by the Hub. And it is the true creation story of the universe. Eons ago, all beings lived together in harmony with advanced technology, and all were linked through body, mind, and spirit, and the entire universe was aligned. The very first oppressive, known as Thrakazog, who held the title of the Great Pothole, began to convince people that the mind, body, and spirit were separate entities, and this division started the First Great War. As a result of the war, those that died had their remnants scattered across the universe, and the Great Wheel almost completely separated from what we call the axle of existence. As our scripture states, the spokes of the Great Wheel broke in the rut that Thrakazog, the Great Pothole, had created. As a result, a new form of life would form on many planets, including our own, which we call Terra. We are examples of this new life, and we are polluted by the remnants or soul pieces of those that died in that first great universal war. This is the cause of all hate, misunderstanding, and war, and is the reason why the Great Hub eventually revealed the truth to the world. That truth being that to achieve peace, understanding, and ultimate potential, we had to cleanse ourselves of the soul pollution through alignments. Doing this is the first step in mending the broken spokes that were broken eons ago on the Great Wheel with all other forms of life across the universe that we call our starry brothers. In order to continue advancing though, we require some, let's call it, service. The Hubologists in San Francisco would benefit greatly from a new technology that seems to be popping up in the Wasteland that is called a vertibird. Weird name, I know. We know for sure that an old military base up north in Navarro has the plans, but we think that the She could have the plans as well. If you could retrieve those plans by either sneaking into the base in some power armor and finding some in a locker in one of the hangars, or if the She have them, have a man named Badger that lives with the punks on the tanker hack a She computer and download the schematics. Back already? Wow, that was fast. I'm not going to ask how. All that matters is that we have the plans now, and you are now eligible for the next level. That will just be a really reasonable 1,000 caps, and you can expect +5 to intelligence and 260 rads, but no worries, it'll just be a little tingle. Nothing quite like a newly minted AHS-5. You even have that fresh Zeta scan smell. You have reached the level that Vicky and Juan in San Francisco have achieved, which is impressive. I have some fascinating and uplifting doctrine to teach you now, but your services are required elsewhere at the moment. The group of Hubologists that is led by a descendant of the Great Hub himself, known as Dara Hubble, is in need of some spacesuits. I can't tell you exactly why yet, just suffice it to say that they are key in the great project that has been given to us by the Starfather. Dara and the other Hubologists are currently wearing the Hubologist outfit, which seems to have a reflective inner coating to help prevent neurodyne pollution, but with a damage resistance of only 5 and a charisma buff of +2, it's not enough for our future plans. There are enough spacesuits though that can be found at a Vault-Tec exhibition called Vault-Tec Among the Stars at the Galactic Zone in Nuka World, and they can be found on a number of animatronics. It won't be easy though, as there are a number of hostile robots and animatronics, and a few Hubologists have already given their lives in this attempt. But doing this will show your devotion to the faith. Excellent work. Those spacesuits have a higher energy and radiation resistance, and will be perfect for the next part of the plan, which you have earned the right to learn about. There is an event known as the Uplifting, which is the prophesied time that the Starfather will call all the faithful to our new home, which is called Quetzal in the constellation Xiphus. It is said that the Great Hub himself lobbied on our behalf with the Starfather to allow this to happen. At the time of the uplift, all those that have aligned themselves with the Great Wheel will undertake a voyage. Those of us here on Terra, as well as our starry brothers on distant planets, who will undertake the journey on their flaming wheels in the sky. We have proof of the existence of our starry brothers and life on other planets, but that knowledge is reserved for higher levels, which I am confident you will one day attain. Quetzal will be a paradise, a place far better than our own planet, but it will be a stepping stone and a place to prepare for the final plans of the Starfather. But that is enough doctrine for now. The way that we prepare for the uplifting is different on the West Coast from the East Coast, but the theory is the same. Using our unique understanding of science, we will engineer spacecraft worthy of making it to Quetzal under the guidance of the fearless and inspired AHS-9s. On the West Coast, this takes the form of a pre-war shuttle that has been dubbed the ESS Quetzal. This nuclear-powered spacecraft is lacking fuel, but that can be diverted by a She scientist named Jing Tiagang, who is a chemist who wants to get a set of hardened power armor, which is a special process that makes power armor even more protective and durable. That is a proprietary secret of the Hubologists. Once that is accomplished, there are only a few more preparations to make on the ESS Quetzal, and we are otherwise waiting for the leader, AHS-9, to tell everyone when the stars are right, at which point we will launch towards Quetzal. According to one of our engineers, Harry Rocket, the vertibird plans you recovered have been very helpful in perfecting the aerodynamics. On the East Coast, Dara and her group have identified their own method to get to the Starfather, a flying disc that is in a junkyard outside of Nuka World. Oppressives will try and say that it is an old, broken amusement park ride, but Dara knows that to be a deception, and just needs the sole survivor's help after getting the spacesuits to fight the way from the Hubologist camp to the junkyard, and clear the junkyard of any potential enemies. The flying disc is not currently operable, and it needs a power distributor and 3 fusion cores in order to function properly, which the sole survivor is asked to provide while the rest of the Hubologists prepare themselves. You are ready for the next step. AHS-6 requires a sacrifice of 2,500 caps and will dose you with 330 rads with a buff of 6 to intelligence. You know the drill by now. Now, before I share the final doctrine, the ultimate fate of our brothers, sisters, and this world we call Earth, there's something I need to ask of you. As the spokes of the Great Wheel, we try to hold ourselves to a higher standard than the rim meat and oppressives, but sometimes we need to defend ourselves and meet force with force, and so it is time to test your mettle. There is a man in San Francisco who lives among the punks on the tanker, named Badger. You might remember him from the time we needed to get vertibird plans. He is standing in the way of Hubology's efforts to preach and expand to all the poor misguided souls that live on the tanker, and we cannot let one man stand in the way of salvation for so many others. I trust you understand the importance of this mission, and that you understand that you need to go and kill him to help save the lost souls of the tanker and allow Hubology to flourish. I know that must have been unpleasant for you. I can sense some misalignment because of how demanding the task was, but I assure you this was necessary. As a reward, you are entitled to know the ultimate place of all those that follow the hub, including you. After the uplifting, where we retreat to Quetzal for some time to be in the presence of the Starfather, our minds will be completely unlocked and freed to their maximum potential. We will be able to do incredible, unimaginable feats as our mind, body, and soul unify and become one. We will return to the earth in our glorified state, but not as persecuted truth seekers like we've always been, but as new rulers of Terra. Using our newfound abilities, we will end the scourge of impurity once and for all, and help the rest of mankind to understand our teachings and align themselves with the Great Wheel. Then, and only then, will all beings and planets be brought back into alignment as it once was, before Thrakazog, the Great Pothole, caused the First Great War. So now you must see why what we do is so important. It is up to us to end all suffering in the universe. Please now undergo yet another alignment so you can ascend to a level that is not attained by many. For only 5,000 caps and 390 rads, you will get a boost of 7 to your intelligence and the post-Zeta clarity that always follows an alignment. Excellent. Please, pay Phil, the one conducting the Zeta scans, no mind if he gives you a hard time about how quickly you've been moving up the ranks. He's just frustrated with himself that he has stalled at AHS-7, but he really has no one but himself to blame. You were so successful in your mission to remove the oppressive known as Badger that we felt you were ready to advance. There are only 2 known level 7s, Phil on the East Coast and AH-7 on the West Coast, who is second in command, only receiving orders from AHS-9 himself. AHS-7 is a faithful follower. He is the representative of our organization to the rest of San Francisco, and he has the sacred honor of welcoming newcomers. He and AHS-9 are the only ones authorized to perform Zeta scans because of the special scientific knowledge needed to successfully conduct one. We have need of these strong, faithful leaders because, well, there's another thing that most lower-level AHSs would have a hard time understanding, and that is that in order to fulfill the wishes of the Starfather, as put forth by the Great Hub and AHS-9, sometimes we need to enlist the help of some unsavory types. On the West Coast, Dr. Crockett is a very good scientist. He has designed the nuclear reactor that was installed in the ESS Quetzal and has developed a process that can harden power armor. The hardening is such a sought-after process that even the Shi are interested in obtaining the secret. Nevertheless, Dr. Crockett, although he is a certified genius, is, well, not the most pious of our flock. While he seems to tolerate the rest of us well enough, it is obvious his heart isn't in the faith. He seems to be more interested in earning a healthy salary, being friendly with some of the women, and having full access to a well-stocked laboratory where he can do all the science he could ever want. Similarly, while Vicky Goldman and Juan Cruz are very spirited, sometimes a little too enthusiastic, they are so well known for their times as adult entertainers that they bring in droves of newcomers. Dave Handy, up top, who works on the ESS Quetzal, came all the way from Canada when he found out Vicky was here, hoping to score a chance with her, but in the meantime, he has been a really big help in preparing the ship. And so we see that the wheel turns in mysterious ways. And speaking of, there's yet another request. I am kind of surprised by this, but we must do as commanded. AHS-7 has requested that for the good of all, a crusade must be mounted against the oppressives known as the Shi, and you are to begin this by killing the Shi Emperor. Please go and bring glory to us all. Wow, so the Emperor was actually a supercomputer, and you killed him by reformatting him just like some old dusty holodisk? That's incredible, but even more so, you have advanced the cause of the Great Wheel this day. For this act alone, I am recommending you to advance to AHS-8, the highest level that we can possibly invoke, as long as there are other living AHS-9s. This requires the biggest sacrifice so far, 10,000 caps, and 470 rads will get you closer to enlightenment than ever before, and you will benefit from an additional 8 points of intelligence. Dara has to be the one to do this. You will become a higher rank than even Phil, who is considered by many to be the most faithful of Dara's flock. Magnificent. I can see your aura. You are certainly a chosen of the Great Hub. I have no more I can teach you. AHS-9 and Dara Hubble are the only ones that can give you more light. Dara requests your help with the final preparations of the flying disc, but you would do well to know a bit more about AHS-9 in San Francisco. AHS-9 is a sharply dressed man who likes to go by the moniker the Great and Terrible. I know, kinda cringe, but let's just keep that between us. AHS-9 has a great deal of knowledge. I am sure revealed to him by the Hub's old writings or the Starfather himself. And he even knows where their main base is out west, and that they have a number of smaller bases all over the West Coast. AHS-9 is incredibly adept at talking to all sorts of people, even those with unimpressive intelligence capacity. He is the only person to be able to fully understand and converse with a low intelligence chosen one. He remains so impressive despite having to make such hard decisions, but just a word of warning, don't ask where all the caps for each alignment go, or bring up the enlightened one around him, or just ask too many questions, or ask for a reward, or, maybe let's just not talk to him at all. Dara, the other AHS-9 near Nuka World, needs our help though, gathering the power supply and fusion cores for the flying disc that will take them to Quetzal. She is insistent that we only need 3 fusion cores, but I see 4 slots here. We should really make sure that the flying disc gets to Quetzal, so let's just pop in 4 because you can't have too much energy, can you? Alright, we're ready to go. Dara and her group file into the UFO, and we take our place at the center to start the craft and begin the sacred uplifting. Oh no. Oh no, dear Adam, Starfather above. What happened? Maybe we should have only used 3 cores like Dara had instructed. Oh man, what a mess. At the very least, Dara gave us a relic from the pre-war, and a very holy one at that. She said this is an honest-to-hub alien blaster that he once owned himself and has been passed down through the years. It has the lucky legendary effect that allows the critical meter to fill 15% faster and causes critical shots to do double damage. I guess she won't be needing this now anyway. Well, since we gave Dara and her group a shortcut to the Starfather, we don't have much else to do over near Nuka World. But since we are an elite AHS-8, we now have access to all the writings and works of the Great Hub and the terminals on the proprietary Hub Link network in San Francisco. I have been looking forward to this so much, to see the inner workings of the most inspired mind in the pre-war. There are literally hundreds of books, so let's see what we have here. Scientific Spirituality, Battleground Quetzal, Starfather Above, Collected Shopping Lists, Notes and Musings, How to Sue Your Enemy Effectively, How to Create a Cult, and future books to be written when I'm dead? These can't be real, can they? Vicky and Juan highly recommended Collected Shopping Lists, so let's just crack that open. I mean, I'm sure it's just a clever title, and 2 dozen eggs, milk, TP. This is the significant message that needs to be heard. Is this some sort of joke? You know, maybe we can find some study guides or updated materials on the terminals. Let's just fire one up and take a look. Let's see, there's a folder for research that talks about the power armor hardening, but also some work on computing orbits, launch trajectories, and weather control? Okay, that one's kind of random. How about the goals folder? Yeah, the usual about enlightenment, reunion with the Starfather. But wait, what is this? AHS-9 seems to have no problems with destroying people who weren't with him from the beginning? That doesn't sound right. Okay, what about this finances? Whoa, the church has a ton of money. It looks like they often ask new members to give up everything they have to the church as a sign of faith. That kind of sounds like that cult back in Boston. And they have a hidden huge stash of wealth somewhere in the desert, but the coordinates don't really make any sense. Oh man, I don't know what to think anymore. I think I'm actually gonna be sick. I'm sure there's a way to explain all this, but we have to ask someone of higher rank. AHS-9 is the only one that can make sense of all this. Wow, okay. After everything we've done for the Hubologists, AHS-9 tells us to our face that we're nothing but a tool and that we have served our purpose and good riddance. This is how the Great and Terrible treats us after everything we've done? After killing people? You know what? That's it. Holy hand grenade time. Shove that up your great wheel. Hubology is a lie. A giant scam to take people's money and make them weak and completely dependent. The oppressives were right all along. I can't believe I fell for this. I know that I must return to the one true God, Adam. I must seek forgiveness for straying and being blinded by my doubts. But you know, even though Hubology itself is a giant scam and based off of something called Scientology, and the Great and Terrible is a reference to the Wizard of Oz, there are still some unsolved mysteries here. Dara Hubble had an actual alien blaster, and we don't know if it actually came from Dick Hubble, but those are very rare and hard to get in the Commonwealth. Also, we would get intelligence buffs after getting a Zeta scan, which uses Zeta rays, which are the same rays that are used to weaken Lorenzo Cabot, a man who has extraordinary psychic abilities bestowed upon him from an ancient artifact. And this artifact supposedly comes from an ancient advanced civilization that was a precursor to mankind, but were themselves in fact not human, and all the Zeta stuff shares a similar name to the Zeta aliens that we know are watching us from space. Well, that's enough Poseidon Net for me. After everything we went through, I hope that you learned as much as I did about Hubology. And although it's one big scam, some mysteries still abound, and there is apparently a big old treasure hidden out in the desert wastes of California. The Hubologists won't be needing that after what we did to them. Thank you for helping me through my crisis of faith. And I want to thank my patrons whose support make it possible for me to give weekly sermons, and you can join their ranks with the links in the description. Or otherwise just show me support however you would like. A special welcome to the new supporters, Nicholas Byrne and Cypher. A big shout out to the top tier, all to Adam supporters, Acrid B, Arctic Snowpup, Gardner Minshew Simp, Tessa Storm, Tiny Satan 999, Dami Double, Tapey Papey, The Alt Vault, and Juan Vader. Please take care of yourselves, don't be deceived by the charlatans around you. Let's all be very grateful for Adam's mercy, and I'll see you soon.